Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm 45 and I live in Hull in East Yorkshire. I was 42 when I was diagnosed. The symptoms I experienced before my diagnosis were swollen ankles, breathlessness, fatigue, feeling generally unwell, muscle pains. I think in the back of my mind I was concerned that it was to do with my heart. But I kept going to the GPs and they kept sort of saying, well, we think it's post-viral fatigue, or we think it's stress, or we think it's... And I sort of eventually, after a lot of months, I asked somebody to listen to my heart. But that was 10 months down the line. She referred me straight away to cardiology, but I didn't get an appointment. So I was sort of in the system waiting, and then I went into extreme heart failure and had to be rushed into resus in an ambulance. My diagnosis was given to me by a doctor in resus in A&E. He did a chest x-ray and saw that my lungs were filled with fluid, did an ECG and came back to me and said, you have heart failure. My symptoms when I was diagnosed were pretty bad. I was really fluid overloaded, I couldn't lay flat. In fact, that's why I called an ambulance, because I'd once heard something on the television that said, if you're struggling to breathe and you can't lie flat, call an ambulance. So I did. Luckily I did, because that was what saved my life. So I was really breathless, I was coughing, I felt sick because the fluid was all around my abdomen. So my symptoms were quite severe when I was diagnosed. My diagnosis was very delayed. Like I say, it took me 10 months of constantly going to the GPs. I think I saw 8 or 9 different GPs at my practice before somebody finally listened to me and listened to my heart. The amount of time it took me to get diagnosed is something I was very angry about for a long time, because I had it in my head that if I'd have been diagnosed sooner, it wouldn't have had such a big impact on my life. I mean, I'll never know. So I suppose what I've done now is put that to the back and thought, what can I do to make things better? But yes, it made a massive impact on my life, and obviously that's affected my family. I've got 2 teenage daughters, I've got a husband, I've got a mum, I've got friends who worry about me, and it's impacted on every aspect of my daily life. There was one thing's really hard. I think everything about my diagnosis was pretty bad. But the main thing, I think, would have been seeing a cardiologist earlier, being referred to a cardiologist and having the tests and being told across the table in a consultant room that, you know, you've probably got heart failure and this is what we can do, not being told in resus after having symptoms for all those months. If I'd have been made more aware of the symptoms, I don't think it would have made an awful lot of difference, to be honest. I think it's always useful to know, and I always say the reason I do these things, which I don't particularly find very comfortable, is just in case somebody else thinks, oh, I'm a bit breathless, I'll go to the GP, and gets a diagnosis quickly and gets the treatment they need quickly. However, I don't think I would have had it in my head that I had heart failure, because it's not something as a young person you imagine you're going to have. That's why the test's so important, I guess. Because if you have a test, then you know you don't need to worry about the symptoms. It should be the GPs or whoever who are doing that blood test and telling you, not the other way around.